Hey guys, it's Pedro from Pedro's Garage. I got a couple things here. I'm working on a new project that's not actually Jaguar related. Part of the reason why I made my move into another platform was just that the XJS is at a pretty good standing, and just have to put some finishing touches on it. But the gas is killing me. I'm not well off. I'm not wealthy. I'm getting by, and I'm putting a lot of money into gasoline that's getting in the way of other expenses, etc. So I decided to buy myself a project / new daily. I'm going to show you guys in a little bit, but starting off with a tensioner here. Got a thermostat with gasket. This cam seal. Here we have a timing belt. And of course, a water pump. Now you're probably asking, well, what kind of vehicle is this for? Well, let me go show you real quick. And there she is. A 1983 Volkswagen MK1 Rabbit convertible. This particular one has a 5-speed manual, no power steering, but air conditioning. At a first glance, it does look a little rough. It's got some rust. The worst part of it being in the front support, which also serves as a motor mount. I got the spare on the way. I'm gonna re-weld it, coming from California. And this is what I'm gonna be dedicating most of my time and attention to. It's gonna make an exceptional daily. And I think it has a lot of character and soul. Not only that, but I've really approached this budget building thing to a whole new level. This car I paid only $400 for, and in parts and everything, I'm still under $200. So if I can get this thing up and running and reliable for less than $1,000, the rest is just aesthetic. And I don't know how to bondo, I don't know how to remove rust. I'll just take on those projects as they come, and I'll show you guys how to do it on a budget as well. I'm very excited for this bad boy. It ran and drove me home after I picked it up from Annapolis, Maryland, and I was able to drive it all the way out to Crofton when the alternator began to lose charge. So we got some stuff ahead of us to do. The worst, well, besides the mount, of course, is just right here. Oh God, it rained a couple days ago and it was just drenched inside. So I got a project ahead of me, that's for sure. All right, glad you could join me. I'm gonna begin tonight with the dismantling of the Volkswagen. We're gonna start with the water pump, timing belt, tensioner, and tonight I think I might be able to get further enough or far enough to get everything ready for tomorrow to put it all back together. So it's a 1.7 liter fuel injected inline 4. Not too much in the way to get the job done, thankfully. Very simple design. Let's look at it from underneath. Yeah, as you can see, pretty straightforward. Got to remove the pulleys, get the alternator tension off. Water pump is right behind there, and thermostat right there. So should all be very chill. All right, let's begin. All right, here's some tools that you're going to need to get this job done so far. A lot of 10 millimeters. You're going to use a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch. These are 10 millimeter ratchets, 13 millimeter, 6 millimeter, I'm sorry, hex drive, very thin flathead, a couple other assortment there, extensions. It takes one gallon or so of coolant. Get a catch can, a little bit of silicone for the water pump and thermostat, WD-40 to get these bolts worked on, and let's begin. Let's start by removing 10 millimeter, two 10 millimeter bolts here that go for the timing cover. From there, remove the 6 millimeter Allen key. This holds the bottom portion of the upper timing cover. It's got a little rubber gasket there. Timing cover has been removed. This gives you access to the tensioner as well as a slight view of how your health looks on this timing belt. There it is off. This is your tensioner here, and a good reference just to know how tight to put it back on. Just count how many threads you got there, and it'll even help if you mark it with a little bit of white paint, which I'm about to do at the very base where the very top of the nut goes. Here we are, now we're at the bottom. We're going to start focusing on the water pump pulley. We got to remove it. Now this is kind of hard because these are really rusted on, so you need a lot of leverage. So one thing that I figured out, take a long screwdriver, okay? pry it under this little portion here. Oh, there we go, right here, and underneath the frame. Okay, this up to there. Okay. Now, if you can see this, okay, let me get some light here for you. That is going to wedge. This is going to prevent this thing from moving, hopefully. It's worked for 2, but I have 3. So since I broke loose the other ones, I got to verify if I'm going to have enough torque to take off the last one. I just loosen them up. Cool. Put these aside. We're almost there. Let's move the pulley aside. Let's take a nice look around here. See what we see. Alright, I see some screws back there for the pump that I have to get access to by removing the lower timing cover, and that means removing this bad boy. Should be fun. See if we can find a place to wedge it so we can do the same thing for the water pump pulley. See if we can get some torque and leverage on these bad boys and take them off. Crank pulley, so you can get access a lot easier to the timing cover. The lower one, these are 13 millimeters. Found a way to be creative. I'm thinking about smacking them with the hammer just to kind of jar them loose. And then we're going to be able to gain access to the 2 bolts to be able to gain access to the water pump. Pretty sure this isn't how it's supposed to be. I think I took the thread out of the rear pulley itself, but we're going to try to remove it and see if I have any luck. And see how it goes. This is where you should be at. Got a couple of different things here. You got Allen keys, you got a big nut in the middle. I'm going to verify and see what I have to remove before I start taking stuff apart. I'll get right back to you guys. Keep this orientation crucial. You have what appears to be a spacer here. Take that spacer off first, okay? Then you take the front pulley. Oh, probably gonna require 2 hands more than likely. And well, this part comes off and then this part comes off. It's like a dish. First time I've ever encountered this, but there's spacers on each side of these pulleys, so I put it kind of in order and sequence. So this first goes on to the very, I guess you could say the base of the block. Next we'll go on this bit, followed by this bit. Okay, so these 2 threads go bolted on into the actual hub itself here. But you see 2 are still there, whereas 2 are not. So I have to screw those in there somehow. And there appears to be a crack there. Holy crap, that's not good. That doesn't look good. Looks like this broke, or is starting to break. Yikes. Made our way down to the lower timing cover. There seems to be 1 bolt here, and see if I can find any more, and 1 bolt up there. So that is pretty much it for the lower timing cover, and let's take this bad boy off. Here we are. I removed these Allen nuts, and I believe I'm going to have to remove that middle one. Hope not. I don't know how I'm going to get enough leverage to be able to remove that without an impact. Made it! There is the timing belt completely. Beautiful. Now let's begin taking apart this water pump. Here's a quick status update. Okay, so there was I believe an idler pulley that went right here. That was being fastened by a 15 millimeter. I loosened it up a little bit since there was tension on the belt. But then I removed the tension from the belt altogether by loosening up the tensioner and was able to free that pulley to be able to access a bolt that was there. So when I just slid that right off, I was able to get all the 10 millimeter bolts out of the water pump housing and removed it and inspected it to make sure that it was the right hub size, and it turns out that it was. This body style is a 30 millimeter hub, so it's good to know. So we're gonna get this back on here. Gonna dab a little bit of silicone all around, clean up the screws, the bolts that go to this thing, and hopefully have it reassembled for tomorrow. Step 1 was removing the upper cover. Step 2, removing the water pump pulley. Step 3, taking off the crank pulley. Step 4, removing more bits and pieces to the crank pulley. This one was sitting in front, and this is sitting at the very base of the block. Here we have another section of the crank pulley. lower common bell came off. There you go.